We have mother Jocelyn Polinski, her attorney Ann Lewis. We have father's attorney Stephanie Cardenas, child's attorney Audra McClure, various agency workers, the CASA.
All right, thank you. Ms. Johnson, will you please tell us where you're employed and in what capacity?
Yes, I am employed at Catholic Charities West Michigan in Grand Rapids, and I am the assigned caseworker for this case.
All right. And in preparation for today's hearing, you sent a number of documents to the attorneys in the court. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. At this point, I'll just go through those, Your Honor, if that's okay.
That's fine.
All right. I have as proposed Exhibit 1, a case service plan with associated parent agency treatment plans dated May 20th, 2026. Proposed Exhibit 2 is a CASA report dated 5/28/2026. Proposed Exhibit 3 is a set of 18 foster care supportive visitation reports for both parents. Proposed Exhibit 4 is a YWCA report dated 5/6/26 for Ms. Polinski. Proposed Exhibit 5 is a Network 180 report dated 5/20/26 for Ms. Polinski. Proposed Exhibit 6 is a set of 12 drug screens for Ms. Polinski. And proposed Exhibit 7 is a drug screen for Mr. Labazu.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, they're admitted.
All right, thank you. So let's start with WL. She remains in the same placement with her paternal grandparents, and that placement is overall going very well. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that is correct. WL is up to date on her appointments. Her next well child visit is on June 30th, and her next dental visit is on July 22nd. There are no concerns in the home. She is very happy. She loves playing around. I just did a home visit with them yesterday. She is really starting to understand more things and have different emotions about those things that she's seeing and understanding. She's speaking in fuller sentences and can really articulate her wants and needs. And she's just growing up so much. And she recently moved up into a new classroom at daycare and is adjusting still, but is doing just fine.
Okay, wonderful. In addition to being healthy, she's meeting all of her developmental milestones. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So how does she react to parenting time with her parents? How does the parenting time go from a perspective of looking at her behavior and her statements before and after?
So there has been some recent change in behaviors with parenting times in the last couple months that have been noted by the caregivers that they have discussed with me, particularly around not wanting to go for parenting times, not necessarily not wanting to see the parents, but just it being out of her average day-to-day schedule. She keeps up a very normal schedule and she just understands her schedule, and it's starting to interrupt that. And she has just started making some claims of not wanting to have to go. And when getting to parenting time, she has clung on to the caregivers a couple different times and not wanted to leave them.
Okay. And is this kind of a newer behavior for her, or is this something that's kind of been the case throughout this case?
No, it's definitely a more recent behavior. I would say definitely over the last month, but probably about the last month to 2 months.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you think the court should know about WL specifically?
Not at this time.
All right. So let's talk about Ms. Polinski. Let's just start with overall, how would you rate her progress in her goals this reporting period?
Overall, it has been a very hard reporting period. The last couple of weeks, she has started to show more consistency with things again. But as a whole picture, this reporting period, she has lacked consistency and structure with reducing those barriers that she has.
Okay. So would you say that substance abuse has been sort of the primary barrier throughout this case?
Yes, substance abuse and the relationship with Mr. Lebezo. This reporting period, she was inconsistent with her services more at the beginning of the reporting period. She has continued to attend Arbor Circle services with her therapist and her substance abuse support and groups, but there was some time throughout the end of March where she was canceling some appointments or rescheduling. She also was not consistently attending randomized screens due to a number of reasons, not having a car, not having a phone to utilize to call. She was completing screens at visits, but we did want to have her start doing those random screens. And within the last couple of weeks, she has started doing some of those random screens. And if she hasn't been able to make it, she has stopped by the agency for a couple of screens as well. But despite having clean screens throughout most of the reporting period, up until about 3 weeks ago, she did admit consistent substance abuse, mainly with whippets.
Okay. And whippets are something that doesn't come through in a drug screen, so not something that we're able to really monitor, correct?
That is correct. I have done some research to see what possible drug screens or testing that could be done to see that, and there's really no options.
Okay. So definitely some positives in that Ms. Polinski has been open and honest about that, and that she does continue with Arbor Circle, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of progress in actually addressing substance abuse. Is that fair to say?
I do know that it's continued to be addressed, but I would say that the progress in reducing the want to use substances has not continued in a way that would reduce that barrier fully.
Okay. All right. And can you give us an update on the domestic relations piece and the relationship between Ms. Polinski and Mr. Lebezo?
Yes, so first I will give some updates on Ms. Polinski's services with YWCA, and then I will discuss some interactions that I have been made aware of throughout this reporting period with both of them. So throughout this reporting period, I received some updates from her therapist at YWCA. In March, I had been told that she had only attended one session so far in the reporting period, and that was on March 11th, 2026. And then in the beginning of May, I got another update saying that she had not attended the past month, so they were not able to implement any goals that she was wanting to obtain. And then I did receive an update this weekend on Sunday on the 31st, and it was stating that Ms. Polinski has attended 3 out of 3 of her last scheduled sessions over the last couple weeks, and they are working on finding other outlets for Ms. Polinski when she feels like contacting Mr. Lebezo or wanting to use substances. And then within that, throughout this reporting period, there has still been continual contact. More of what we are being reported is that it is Ms. Polinski contacting Mr. Lebezo, but there also has been some interactions where they have both been in person together. From what I've been made aware of, they still have each other's phone numbers, and there's contact being made that way. The most recent contact that I have been made aware of is from this past weekend. Mr. Lebezo had reported to Deanne Lebezo, the caregiver of Renly WL, that Ms. Polinski had been contacting him, and he had showed Ms. Deanne Lebezo a list of missed calls and video chats from Facebook. There was also an incident at the end of March or end of April involving the police, where it does, on the police report that I was able to get, it does list Mr. Lebezo as the suspect and Ms. Polinski as the complainant. It discusses that they met up and drove to Mulligan's together and were in a vehicle arguing, and then things began to escalate, and either Mr. Lebezo asked Ms. Polinski to exit the vehicle, or Ms. Polinski decided to exit the vehicle on her own doing, and then the police were contacted. No arrests were made then, but there was that incident. And then also a few weeks prior to that, on 4/15/2026, Mr. Lebezo was doing a parenting time with the foster care supportive visitation coach and our visit specialist from the agency. And Ms. Polinski began blowing up Mr. Lebezo's phone the whole visit, calling, texting, leaving voicemails. So Mr. Labazu took his phone over by the visit coach and specialist so they could be aware of that. And then Ms. Polinski began contacting me that morning as well. And she left me a very concerning voicemail discussing that she would not be able to make it to parenting time and she needed someone to leave a message for WL. And so then after that, I did have to call in a welfare check, but within that, there was some voicemails that Mr. Lebezo had got that he said sounded very familiar of her when she was actively using substances when he was around her before.
Okay. All right, so obviously some definite issues of concern, and they were clearly instructed, and there's a court order. I just double checked the written order that the parents are not to have contact with each other. So there's a clear violation of that order. Fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and again, I'm glad to see that there's been an uptick in attendance at the YWCA services sort of in recent weeks, but really no constant participation in that service, correct?
That is correct. And I will say that me and Ms. Polinski had a very straightforward conversation a couple weeks ago and about how things were going. And if she did not start working on things, then it was not going to be looking good. And that's when we started seeing the consistency with things again.
Okay. All right, so obviously those were the two primary barriers that we haven't seen really any progress on those. What other areas are you working on with Ms. Polinski?
So the emotional stability also falls into what we discussed with therapy and the domestic violence with those services. And so we continue to address that as well. And then the other two biggest things are the employment and housing. And currently she is residing at temporary housing at a friend's place while she gets back on her feet. It is stable housing for her at this time, but it would not be appropriate for reunification. I have discussed with Ms. Polinski looking into some different housing options, but when I have looked, we don't really have a lot of available options, so I don't have much to share at this time. And then she is working at a gym in Grand Rapids. She did recently lose her job at Uccello's, but she reported that she got a new job at a sushi restaurant in Grand Rapids. And I asked her to verify this with me when she is able to show a schedule or direct deposit or a pay stub.
Okay. All right, and how has communication with Ms. Polinski been between herself and the agency?
It has been pretty well. She does not have a phone right now. She is using her laptop. So when she is away from Wi-Fi or her home, it is a little bit harder to communicate with her, but she has been very well with calling from her gym if she's working there and can't message me a different way. So she has been pretty consistent with communication.
Okay. Can you give us an update about how parenting time has gone for Ms. Polinski and WL?
Yes, so I actually got to supervise a visit yesterday, and then I got to visit or supervise some other ones this reporting period. But yesterday, I will say that visit went very well. there was no concerns. Ms. Polinski was looking a lot better. That was a big thing that I wanted to note. Previous visits over the last couple months, she has had a very sunken in face, some dark circles. She looked to be very unhealthy, and yesterday she was looking a lot healthier, was very happy when she showed up for visit. Super interactive the whole time. And when we were parting ways, WL was just really, giving her kisses and giving her hugs. And it was a very good visit yesterday.
Okay. And the parenting time itself has historically gone very well between WL and Ms. Polinski. And when you were talking a little bit ago about how WL has kind of recently started to resist wanting to go to visits, do you see any correlation between WL's that behavior from WL and Ms. Polinski looking more unhealthy and acting a little bit different?
So I haven't been reported anything directly that WL notices the way Ms. Polinski has looked or anything at visits, but I do know that, again, in recent months, there's been more disconnect where at visits she may want to more do things with myself or the visit coach or the visit specialist rather than always wanting to go to Ms. Polinski or Mr. Lebezo to paint or draw or color or play. She does sometimes gravitate towards the other adults in the room as well during visits.
Okay. And that's been, again, something that's happened more in the last reporting period. That's kind of been a change. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I want to be aware of my time here. Is there anything else you think the court should know about Ms. Polinski?
There is just one thing I wanted to share. Ms. Polinski was involved in a hit and run accident on 4/14/2026. She hit a car and fled the scene, claiming to be scared, and that's why she left. The person who was hit called 911 and gave her license plate and a description of her. And so she was later contacted by the police, where she stated that she did hit the vehicle but fled due to being scared. The officer asked Ms. Polinski to meet, and in the report, it says that she refused to do so and hung up on the officer, according to that police report. I was able to find that Ms. Polinski does have a prior hit and run and a DUI on her record, so this would be her third serious driving offense. She has had 2 court hearings thus far for this incident. Her most recent hearing was on 6/2/26, and that was the pretrial conference. And I have no other updates at this time, but the next hearing will be in July for that.
Okay. All right, thank you for that update. All right, so let's talk about Mr. Labazu. Do you know why he's not present at today's hearing?
I am not aware why he is not present. I again shared the link with him this morning to make sure that he had it, just in case it was lost prior when it was shared with him.
Okay. All right. So can you give us a just overall, how has Mr. Lebezo's progress been during this reporting period?
Mr. Lebezo's only progress is completing foster care supportive visitation. He actively is not involved in any other services. He is not completing any randomized drug screens or drug screens at parenting time visits. We did provide gas cards for him earlier on in this reporting period to help him get to the random screens, but he did not utilize them for that. And so we weren't able to give him more. He has refused to meet with me last month. He made the excuse that he was too far out for work and canceled his parenting time due to that, but then messaged the caregiver, who is his mother, that he did not want to meet with me, and that's why he canceled his parenting time. So for this month, I scheduled a parenting time for me to supervise yesterday, and I just didn't inform him that it was me so I could try and meet with him. And when he showed up, he immediately got frustrated, called his mother, and then took some time to get out of the car, acted very, very inappropriate during the parenting time. And then WL could see that, and she really didn't want to interact with him much. She was asking me to go inside and paint with her and to sit down with her, and told me that Mr. Lebezo couldn't come in with us during the visit. And then he ended up getting up and saying, well, WL, you want nothing to do with me, so I'm just going to leave. I would love a hug before I go, but if not, okay. And she did not want to give him a hug or anything. And then I just proceeded to say, have a good day. And he walked away, and he slammed his hand into our swing set there and made a very loud noise, which shocked WL. And so we went inside to make sure that everyone was safe.
Okay.
And that was only at 10 a.m., which the visit was supposed to be till 10:30.
Okay. So I want to come back to the parenting time, but before I forget, we do have two drug screens that were admitted as exhibits today. So those were from early March, early mid-March, March 11 and March 16th, and those were both positive for cocaine. And those are kind of our only frame of reference for what might be happening with his substance use. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that is fair to say. And he is aware that if any screens he is missing or refusing, that they are presumed positive for all substances.
Okay. All right. So obviously there's a list of different things you wanted him to participate in, including YWCA services and therapy with Arbor Circle, housing services. He's not done any of those, but he has participated in supportive parenting. So tell us about how that service has been going with him, I guess, prior to the sort of disturbing parenting time that happened yesterday.
Yeah, so really the reports that I received from foster care supportive visitation on both sides were very well. Something that I was discussed with myself and the foster care supportive visitation coach is that she really focuses on that connection she sees during the parenting time. But something she did note is that at the end of parenting times, there would be a very quick disconnect. It wasn't an emotional leaving, or end of a visit was hard to say bye. It was the end of the visit and kind of go your separate ways. And that's something that has continued to occur. But other than that, during parenting times, he does interact with her well. He loves her, she loves him. They will sing songs, they'll play around outside, they'll color with chalk, things like that.
Okay. And the behavior you noted earlier about going to, her resisting, WL resisting going to parenting time, that's kind of the same for both parents, including Mr. Lebezo?
Yes, that is correct. After the situation yesterday, WL was very down and said that she was sad after what happened. And me and her just kind of hung out for a little bit before her next parenting time visit. And she really understood what was occurring, and that it was not a happy moment. She was very down.
Okay. Do we know anything about Mr. Lebezo's housing situation at this point?
As far as I'm aware, he is still homeless, living in his truck or crashing at some friends' houses. It has been reported to me by the caregivers that he does have a girlfriend, so he may be residing with this girlfriend, as he showed up yesterday to the parenting time in her vehicle. So I'm not sure what that relationship fully is there, because he doesn't communicate with me, but there is no reports of him having his own housing.
Okay. And if he was in a relationship, you would want to possibly involve her with a parent agency treatment plan before any reunification would occur, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you think the court should know about Mr. Lebezo?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. All right, so what are your recommendations at this time?
It is respectfully recommended that WL remain a temporary court ward placed with an approved relative or in a licensed foster home if required. Ms. Polinski and Mr. Lebezo participate in and benefit from the services offered within their parent agency treatment plan. Parenting time between WL and Ms. Polinski and Mr. Lebezo be at the discretion of the agency. WL's permanency goal be changed from reunification to adoption. Mr. Lebezo has no contact with Ms. Polinski, and a termination hearing be set to occur in 90 days.
Okay, and this is a permanency planning hearing, so I'm going to ask you those questions, which are a little bit duplicative of your recommendations. I apologize for that, but is there a substantial risk of harm to WL's life, physical health, or mental well-being if she would be returned home to either parent?
Yes, if she was returned home to Ms. Polinski, it would mainly be because of substance abuse and the domestic relations and lack of appropriate housing for both of them. And then if she was returned home to Mr. Lebezo, it would be due to lack of appropriate housing, lack of emotional stability, lack of really engaging with any services.
Okay. And do you believe it's in the best interest of WL to terminate the parent's parental rights?
Yes, we believe, or I believe that because there has been very minimal progress at reducing barriers over the last 12 months.
Okay. And has WL's current placement with the paternal grandparents, have they followed the reasonably prudent parenting standard and allowed her to engage in age-appropriate and developmental activities?
Yes, they do. They have her go to daycare with other children her age. They had her involved in swimming lessons. They have her doing different events in the community. They attended an event where one of her friends from daycare got to come, and WL was telling me all about that. So she has been getting a lot of opportunities to do things for her age.
Okay. And she's clearly very bonded with her caregivers, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And there has been a discussion with them, I assume, about the potential for a guardianship or adoption and what those things kind of mean, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say that their very strong preference would be adoption and that they are willing to adopt WL?
Yes, they are.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Johnson, I'm going to kind of start at the end of your testimony and work my way back to the beginning. But you were speaking about supportive visitation. Ms. Polinski has completed that program, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And during supportive visitation, they give them the parents a lesson each week, and then they supervise parenting time. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. Some of them were completed like 2 times a week if they were missed for some reason the week prior or some scheduling issues, but it was mainly 1 time a week, yes.
Yeah, I saw that there were some times that they had to do 2 at once instead of just 1 a week or whatever.
Correct.
Okay. And during those supportive visitation interactions, parenting time, call it whatever you want, Ms. Polinski was appropriate with WL, correct?
Yes.
And engaging with her in age-appropriate activities?
Yes.
And was there ever any report by the supportive visitation coach that Ms. Polinski appeared to be under the influence of any substance whatsoever?
No, there was not any reports of that.
Okay, so supportive visitation has come and gone, and that was successful, correct?
Correct.
Okay. With regard to parenting time, again, you sort of indicated under the umbrella of Mr. Labazu or Lebezo or whatever, that visits were going well and there were no concerns until this most recent with Mr. Labazu. But that's also true of Ms. Polinski, correct? They went well and there were no concerns?
Correct. The only concern was the one from 4/15/2026 when she canceled about 10 minutes prior and left that concerning voicemail for me. And that was the same day that she was attempting to contact Mr. Lebezo during his whole parenting time.
But all other parenting times have been successful. I believe I read in reports there was lots of painting and coloring and playing with toys and sidewalk chalk and such that you mentioned with Mr. Lebezo. However, that also happens with Ms. Polinski, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, you just didn't bother to mention it when you were discussing Ms. Polinski's parenting time?
I'm sorry if I missed that portion. We were discussing both parents kind of at the same time, and I was not trying to not discuss how one visit goes versus the other for parents.
Okay, and regarding communication with the agency, you said with Ms. Polinski that it's good that she only has the laptop and she can only communicate when she has access to Wi-Fi. However, that's not abnormal for people that either don't have a phone or don't have a phone plan. Would you agree?
Correct.
A lot of people have a phone, but not a phone plan. So if they don't have Wi-Fi, they can't use their phone, is what I'm saying. Do you agree?
Yeah, that is how it would work.
Okay. So again, that's not uncommon for people in that situation.
I'm not sure how I should answer that because it's not a common thing that I am running into right now in my work.
Okay. But she does communicate when she's able to, as much as she's able to.
Yes, that's what I testified to.
Okay. With regard to housing, how have you assisted her with housing? Have you gotten her on the list for Section 8 or community rebuilders or any housing agencies within the area to look for more permanent housing?
Yes, so I have looked into the list in the area, but the list that I have looked at for Kent County and surrounding areas, the waiting lists are closed at this time.
Okay, so there's not even an option for her to get on a waiting list, as far as you know.
At this time, the ones that I have looked into, that is correct. And I have discussed that with Ms. Polinski. And I also talked with Arbor Circle about what possible housing options they may be able to support her with as well.
Are they able to support her with any housing options?
They said they were going to look into seeing what they might be able to offer her through their case management. It's just a little bit different than what she was receiving at the time for services. So they would just have to talk with someone else about what that looks like for offering her housing services.
Okay. And were you aware, or did Ms. Polinski inform you that she has, through Grand Rapids Housing Association, submitted applications for apartments?
No, I was not made aware of that.
Okay. Can you follow up with her about that? She's just waiting on a response from those locations.
Yes, I can follow up with her on that. Did you say it was Grand Rapids Housing Commission?
Well, Grand Rapids Housing Commission would also be an option, but she used Grand Rapids Housing Association, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
But Grand Rapids Housing Commission should certainly be something that should be explored. Would you agree?
Correct. I do think that that's something I have looked into before, but I will check into it again and see what options may become available. I know that when I've looked in other cases, that waiting lists may become open and close very quickly at different times. So it's just something that I'm keeping up on because I have lots of different cases who have struggled with housing.
I understand, because that's an issue for many people. You've gotten a recent report from the YMCA that she has engaged in every session offered to her in the month of May, accurate?
The last 3 sessions offered to her, she has attended.
Okay. And I believe last time we were here, there was someone here from the Y, and I don't know if that person is here today or not. I can't see everyone on my screen.
I know they were here last time. I'm not sure if they're here today. She did ask me to share it with her Arbor Circle supports, and that is who I know she is attending with today.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it was Miss Solomon last time that was here that indicated, at least at that time, that they were just sort of ships passing in the night trying to schedule an appointment, and that it wasn't Miss Polinski not wanting to engage. It was simply not them being able to connect. Do you recall that testimony?
I do. In this reporting period, it has been reported to me differently that that she has not attended sessions, that there was some that were canceled or that she just wasn't communicating to get sessions scheduled.
Okay. With regard to the drug screens, Ms. Polinski is screening through family outreach, correct?
Correct. In recent weeks, she has begun consistently attending Lowe's, and when she isn't available, because I know the hours are weird, if her color is called, she has made an effort the last couple of weeks to come stop at the agency and get screens completed on those days as well.
Okay, and I noticed on the drug screening results form that added to the spectrum of substances to be screened for, you added, or someone added alcohol and ketamine, and those still are negative, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then, I mean, I'm not going to say, is it fair to say, it's true to say that there has not been one single positive drug screen this report period for Ms. Polinski. Is that accurate?
That is correct, but she has directly admitted substance use to me.
Do you think that that is a positive or a negative? Would you have preferred for her to lie about it?
No, but our screens do not test for her substance of choice.
And part of substance abuse counseling that she's attending through Arbor Circle would be to be open and honest with her substance abuse counselor about whether or not she has had a relapse or not. Would you agree?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And she has been attending her Arbor Circle counseling. You said it wasn't consistent in March. Can you take us back to March and let us know what was going on with Ms. Polinski in March? Because there was quite a bit going on with Ms. Polinski in March.
Yes, when Ms. Polinski left rehab in March, in the beginning of March, she had a very rough go. And that whole month, she really wasn't consistent with a lot of things. She was reporting using substances. She was not interacting with family and talking to her support people. She really came out of rehab and went right back to what she was doing before she was in rehab.
And now she is essentially, is she in the FET program at Arbor Circle?
What is the long name for that program?
Oh boy. It's something engagement therapy, I want to say.
Yes, I do know that she is in, she has just recently started an additional program at Arbor Circle. I believe that began last week or the week prior.
Okay. And are you familiar with the FET program?
I am not very familiar with that program. I have not used that program with any other clients.
Can you reach out to Arbor Circle and ask them to give you some information about the program and find out if that's actually the program that she has been enrolled in?
Yes, I will make sure. I know her therapist, Miss Sarah, has been very good with giving me updates, and I will make sure that I continue to get updates from her and get verification on what that additional program is.
Okay. And has Ms. Polinski made you aware that she has found on her own a program called Prime for Life?
No, I have not been made aware of that.
Can you talk to Ms. Polinski about that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And then has she talked to you, or maybe she only talked to Arbor Circle, about attending NA or AA meetings of any sort outside of her regular substance abuse counseling?
She has not discussed that with me. There was discussion over the past month of possibly wanting to attend another rehab again, but that was just one statement she had made to me in a conversation, and I hadn't heard anything further about it. And she was going to possibly talk with Arbor Circle about that, but again, I hadn't heard anything further, and we had a very detailed meeting with her service providers from Arbor Circle, and there was nothing discussed about going back to rehab at this time.
Okay. You indicated that you had a police report regarding Ms. Polinski and Mr. Labazu. Is there a reason that you haven't shared that with any of us? Because I haven't seen it.
Yes, I just received the police report this morning.
Okay. Will you be passing that along?
Yes, I plan to pass that along, as well as her police report from the accident that I also received this morning. And then I did just receive their final reports from foster care supportive visitation as well yesterday evening. And so I was going to share that with everyone when we got off today.
Are the final reports different than I believe it was session 18 was the last one that I saw that they
No,
attended?
they're not any different. It basically is like that first initial report, and then it's just scoring what they were at the end. And I
So
reviewed
it's
them, and there wasn't any details very different than what was shared in the other ones.
so it's more of like an overview, like a summary of the whole process or whatever.
Correct. Yeah, it's just a finishing a report that their specialists have to do at the end of the program.
Okay. And we spoke about obviously the housing issue. Have you been to her current housing?
I have been to the housing, but I have not gone in. I believe this month I have to do an in-home visit with her, so I would be viewing inside the home.
Okay. And obviously you would provide updates as to the interior. Why have you not been inside the home yet?
Because I have not had to. She has just reported that it's temporary housing, and I just have to meet with her face to face once a month. And so with that, I've met with her and had to pick her up from there, and I've met with her at visits and outside of that, but I haven't had to meet with her in the home.
Okay. So just because housing is temporary, you also indicated it was stable. It's just not long term, correct?
She said that it would be stable for her, but not appropriate for her and her child.
Well, couldn't you make that determination if you went inside and said, okay, this bedroom's big enough for a toddler bed and Miss Polinski? Or something of
Um,
that nature?
I could if Miss Polinski would like me to do that. But again, I have not had to go meet in the home yet because we have certain dates that we have to do certain things. And so when I need to go in the home and view it, I can, but she has told me that it would not be a home for her and her daughter.
Okay. Well, in an ideal world, maybe it wouldn't be long term, but that doesn't mean it's not necessarily appropriate right now. You have to follow up on that.
I will follow up on it.
Okay. And so she doesn't have a vehicle. You just started providing her bus passes rather recently. Is that true? When did she lose her vehicle?
I believe she has not had her vehicle since her accident on 4/14, but it may have been a little bit after that she wasn't able to use the vehicle.
Okay. When did you start providing her bus passes?
I always gave her the availability of having bus passes or gas cards, and I believe she started utilizing them in the last month or so.
Okay. And you said you just obtained the police report from what you called a hit and run accident. Have you reviewed that report?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And that is not in fact the charge, correct?
On the report, it discusses her hitting a vehicle and fleeing the scene.
Right. So the charge is actually leaving the scene of an accident, not hit and run. Hit and run implies that she hit somebody. She did not hit a person, correct?
She hit a vehicle.
Great. Have you talked to her about the circumstances of that, her version of events of that incident?
Yes, I have spoke with her directly about this.
Okay. I have nothing further at this time for this witness.
Thank you, Ms. Cardenas.
Thank you. In regards to Mr. Lopuzu, you went to the parenting time yesterday, but you knew he did not want to have contact with you, correct?
Not directly, because he hadn't said it directly to me. He has only claimed or said it to other people, and that has been reported to me. And so there wasn't an understanding that there would be an issue if I went to visit yesterday. And there was no questions asked about why our visit specialist wasn't verifying the visit. And so there should have been no issues with me just being there supervising. But it blew up very quickly.
So that was unexpected, his response to you?
In what manner?
That he got really mad and...
Yeah. So when he first got there, he just walked past me, and I was just going to leave it as that, and just let him have his visit. That's really what I wanted, because it made me sad last month that he canceled his visit with his daughter just because he didn't want to meet with me. And so he had started the visit. Okay, I'd asked if we wanted to go inside or stay outside, and he was short with me in answering and said it was up to her. Then they went on with visit, and he just, you could tell he was very frustrated the whole visit.
Okay. Okay. And then have you had contact with him or made attempts to contact him within the last reporting period?
Yes, we have had some minimal interactions, and when I get responses, they're usually short or inappropriate. One being, I had let him know that I was going to be on PTO and to contact my supervisor if he needed anything, and he really was just inappropriate and said, well, I'm glad you get a lot of PTO. You definitely deserve it, and was being inappropriate about different things leading up to that as well. And so he does not have appropriate communication.
Okay. He can choose to engage with you and you would provide him services.
That is correct.
However, besides, I think we've kind of belabored this, when he is just with his child, he does very well.
Yes. When it is him and WL time and he can block out other things, it is great. But if there is any other contributing factors, it slowly will start to crumble and then get bad quickly.
Okay. But I didn't see that reflected. It gets bad when he's interacting with other people, but not with WL.
Correct. Correct.
And when you discussed your recommendation, I also saw within the case service plan, both grandparents are willing to do guardianship. Is that correct?
Yes, so that is something that we had discussed, was looking at guardianship or adoption and kind of discussing with the caregivers what that looked like. And within that, they were open to the possibility of both. But in recent weeks of talking more with them, they more would favor the adoption.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Ms. McClure, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right, Ms. Lewis, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right. Ms. Cardenas, any follow-up?
No follow-up and no witnesses or evidence for me.
Okay, thank you. Any additional witnesses, Ms. McClure?
No, thank you.
Ms. Lewis, any additional witnesses or evidence?
No, thank you.
All right, statements, Ms. McClure.
Thank you. I was able to visit with WL in the home of her grandparents, as always. She's very bonded with them. It's clearly, they clearly love her very much and she loves them very much. She feels very, very safe with them. I think she was pretty tired when I was there. It was later than normal, but she's clearly doing very well with them. And, I do see that Ms. Polinski has made some, improvements during the last few weeks, but it seems like that's kind of a pattern that we can get into sometimes of putting in some hard work a few months before a court hearing, and then then that falls away after the hearing. And overall, there has been no progress. It seems like we've actually gone backwards with both parents. I mean, they've always had a good relationship with WL. The parenting time has always gone very well, and now we're seeing that WL is starting to resist going yeah, to both parents' parenting time. And then we had this kind of disturbing incident with Mr. Lebezo not being able to kind of control his emotions yesterday. And so it definitely feels like we're going backwards, not forward. And I do support the recommendations to proceed with termination of parental rights and move toward an adoption of WL by her caregivers. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do not support the recommendation to move to termination at this time. Back in the process, Ms. Polinski did go to inpatient rehab for a while. And when you go to inpatient rehab, all of the referrals have to stop. And so any referrals to the Y or Network 180 or Arbor Circle or any of those things, she wouldn't have been able to do for a period of 90 days while she was in inpatient treatment. So the amount of time that she's had to engage with those services, it's been a while, and she did have a couple of hiccups, but she is engaged now. And this child is young. I don't know that anyone can say for sure that the child's resistance to go to parenting time has anything to do with anything other than it's outside of her normal day-to-day routine. If it's, she's used to doing arts and crafts at that time and instead has to go to parenting time, I mean, that's going to upset a child. We don't exactly know why she's upset. We can't tie that directly to her not wanting to see her parents. She's not a very old child. She can't claim that. As far as communication with the agency, Ms. Polinski does well as much as she can. She currently has 2 jobs. She is working with the Y. She is working with Arbor Circle. She is struggling with the battle to find housing in this area, which so many people do struggle with, especially with sort of limited income. I think that it would be appropriate to revisit the issue of moving towards termination, perhaps after another reporting period, but I don't think it's appropriate today. Supportive visitation, I haven't seen the summary that Ms. Johnson referenced, but from the reports that I've read, all the parenting times have gone very, very well. WL and Ms. Polinski are very engaged. They do arts and crafts. She doesn't spend time on her phone when she's at her parenting time. She's dialed into her daughter, which is what we want during parenting time, since parenting time happens so infrequently. With regard to her relationship with Mr. Labazu, it simply needs to end. And there are court orders saying no contact, and I acknowledge that. And so that needs to just be over with. But that's out of my control. I think that another report period would do Ms. Polinski some benefit. And I also think that because of her stint in inpatient and the delay in starting the referred services, it would be appropriate to revisit that issue in 90 days.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Cardenas.
Thank you. I generally object to the termination of parental rights. I know that my client, why he hasn't specifically advised me for today, he's consistently wanted to be a father to his child. He's very bonded with her, engaged with her. And given that the child is placed with a relative and the mother has re-engaged and seems to be doing fairly well, I would ask for more time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, that returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. This child should not be returned to a parent, that the agency should initiate proceedings to terminate parental parental rights to this child because neither parent has made significant progress towards eliminating the barriers. For Ms. Polinski, the biggest barriers that I see are substance abuse and domestic relations. And as Ms. McClure has indicated, she's actually gone backwards. I'm glad to hear that she's stepped up over the last couple of weeks to move in the right direction, but the court's going to need to see a more sustained progress on that. As already indicated, the father, or as indicated by everybody, really, the father has not engaged in any of the services that he's been offered other than supportive visitation, which doesn't, in the court's opinion, wasn't a huge barrier for him to begin with. Reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return to a parent's home. Those reasonable efforts for reunification be continued. In accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that cause this child to be placed or remain in temporary foster care has not been made by either parent. That the continued placement is necessary and appropriate as meeting the child's needs. The needs of the child can be met in a foster family home. The reasonable efforts have been made to finalize the court-approved permanency plan of return to a parent. That permanency planning goal is no longer appropriate and shall be concurrent reunification and adoption. That the foster home has followed the reasonable and prudent parenting standard and that the child has had regular opportunities to engage in age or developmentally appropriate activities. The court orders that this child continue in the protective temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision. That the department initiate proceedings to terminate parental rights to this child no later than 28 days from the date of this hearing. And Ms. Polinski, just so you know, that doesn't mean parental rights are going to be terminated. It just means we're scheduling the next hearing in 90 days for that purpose. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. It doesn't mean we'll even have anything other than a review hearing like we're having today. It's really up to you and what your progress looks like at that time. So there's still a lot of hope. And again, it's all up to you and what you decide to do. That the adjudicated respondents, Ms. Polinski and Mr. Labazu, comply with and benefit from his service plan, that both parents sign any necessary releases. Parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the agency to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. Continue the order that the parents shall not have contact with each other. Continue the appointment of the attorneys. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for a termination, personal permanency planning hearing and dispositional review hearing within 90 days?
Yes, Your Honor. I have August 26th from 9 to 12. And is that Zoom or in person?
That would be in person. Let's see. Does anybody have any conflicts with that date or time?
The
I do.
26th,
Of August, yes.
I'm fine with that.
Fortunately, I have a conflict. Do you have a conflict, Ms. Johnson?
I do.
Okay, no problem. How is August 27 from 2 to 5?
I'm available then.
Sorry. I am available as well, 2 to 5.
Oh my.
Okay. Then we will see you on August 27th in person. If termination is taken off of the table at that time, we can conduct it by Zoom. So just let my office know and then we can let everybody know. But for now, we'll set it for in person. All right. Anything further?
Nothing for me, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.